Today's show is brought to you by the Pittsburgh Dance Council, a project of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. For more than 50 years, the Pittsburgh Dance Council has been bringing world-class contemporary dance performances to downtown. And the new season looks so fun. We're talking folks from Taiwan, Cuba, Mexico, France, LA, and New York. And tickets are available now for the upcoming season. Plus, we've got a special offer for CityCast Pittsburgh listeners. Use promo code DANCECAST for 30% off your tickets. The deal is only good through this Sunday, October 13th, so visit trustarts.org/dance to get your seats now.
Pittsburgh Opera presents Puccini's Tosca, October 5th through 13th. Claudia Tosca must free her lover from the clutches of a corrupt police chief. This whirlwind thriller packs romance, dark motives, betrayal, murder, and intrigue into a plot that will keep you on the edge of your seat. See why Tosca is one of the most powerful operas ever. Learn more at pittsburghopera.org/Tosca. Pittsburgh Opera, where can we take you?
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, we are talking about breweries. If you want to kick back this weekend, maybe make a day trip or two, Trace Brewing's Adam Sorma has got you. And his love of a good beer goes well beyond Pittsburgh. He's sharing his favorites from all over the city, the ones he says are worth a drive, and his tips for how to have the best time with a new-to-you draft list anywhere you go. It's Thursday, October 10th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Adam Sorma, welcome to CityCast Pittsburgh.
Hey, how's it going, Megan?
Good. We're going to get really nerdy. We're going to get a little fancy. But first, I want to know, what is your most embarrassing beer preference? Lower brow, the better.
Oh, man. I feel like, a lot of people in my hometown, like back home in Ohio, I love that they just love to slug Busch Light, and they call it home team. So they don't even refer to it by its name. I love to get down with like a Budweiser Heavy or a Miller High Life. Those are all, in my wheelhouse. But I love that people call Busch Light home team.
I've never heard that before. I like that. What to you makes for a good booze-focused vacation? Like, what are your essentials when you know that drinking is on tap?
It's always fun to see a diverse tap list. I think that if you are someone who goes to breweries and you go hyper-specific because you love their year-round IPA or their year-round lager, if you're going somewhere as a first-time guest, I think it's cool to, talk to the bartender and get a recommendation. And if you have the time to try 2 or 3 really, really different things, it sort of gives you just a good overview of their capabilities. So yeah, the more styles, the better. But if you're known for one style and you're going for that, that's also cool.
Yeah. Any pro tips for kind of figuring out, like if you're not from an area or used to that brewery, how to spot those that are available year round that maybe they're known for? Because sometimes that stuff is kind of hard to figure out on a typical beer list.
Yeah, that's a great question. Man, the only way to know is probably to ask. I think that, at Trace, we just have one year-round beer, and it's a German pale lager called Keller beer. However, it's not really marketed that way. I think that, if you were to walk in and try it and ask about it, or ask at any brewery, hey, do you have a flagship? Often it'll be displayed or, highlighted on the menu or sort of like demarcated as such. But a lot of spots, we just want to keep it really approachable. That's like a really important thing, is to not sort of talk above the guest or anything. Just, meet them where they're at. So yeah, I would always encourage someone just to ask their bartender, like, hey, is there something you love or something y'all do year round?
Well, let's dive into some of your top recommendations. We wanted to start off with the best spaces for specific activities or experiences around the Pittsburgh region. Give me one if you want to be active with your group. So, like playing a game, taking a scenic walk with your beer, doing something other than sitting on a bar stool. What's a good spot?
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, this is a great question. I think that, and I'm kind of approaching it both like regionally and more local. So if you go
Yeah.
north from the city of Pittsburgh into Butler County, roughly, I would say about 45 minutes to an hour outside the city proper, there's this gorgeous spot called Cobble House at the Falls. Cobble House is a brewery located in Coriopolis, but their ownership opened a second location and it's at a waterfall. It is like stunning. If you have children, if you have a dog, if you have family, you order up top at their bar and you walk down a set of steps and around to the back of the building and it drops down an elevation and you're literally sitting in front of a waterfall. A couple of the folks on our staff have been, I've been, it's gorgeous. It's definitely like the kind of hallmark thing about it. I would also recommend Big Rail. Big Rail Brewing is also up north in Butler County. And they got a huge like stage setup for outdoor music.
Okay.
The way that it's set up is it's actually in the woods. So you're drinking beer right amongst several trees and furniture, and they'll have like a food truck or two. It's an experience.
So what about if you absolutely don't feel like being active? A place where maybe you can watch someone else do something, a good brewery, even maybe with like good sports packages on their TVs and multiple televisions too. I feel like that's pivotal if you're in a sports watching mood.
So, like about a month ago, I went to Ohio, and if you go all the way into Northwest Ohio, Port Clinton, Sandusky area, there's a brewery called Twin Oast, OAST. It is stunning. Like literally had to like take a few photos and send them to my staff. An oast is a large conical structure where you could like hang up hops to dry and things like that.
Okay.
And Twin Oast is on this farm and it's just humongous. Like we're talking like several acres, multiple points of sale, multiple kitchens, multiple seating areas. People get married there. There's multiple stages. There's a sunflower garden. It was so stunning. I was only there for like one beer because I was on the way to Put-in-Bay for a guy's trip. But man, I've been reading about it and seeing photos of it online, and definitely like one of those destinations where I think it's like the thing to do in town, but not a whole lot around it. But Twin Oast over in Northwest Ohio, it blew me away.
Any hard cider destinations that you would recommend?
Yeah, totally. There's one that jumps to mind immediately. It's about exactly a 1 hour drive from Pittsburgh. It's in Youngstown, Ohio. It's called Dope, Dope. Dope is run by Hannah Ferguson. It's the only Black woman-owned cidery I've ever been to. Definitely the only one in Ohio. It's actually funny because it's attached to a brewery. She came from beer and then migrated over to cider and wine. And I've tried her stuff at festivals. She comes to Pittsburgh a lot. She's been to Trace several times. I would tell everyone, definitely go support her and check out what she's doing because it's pretty special.
What about a wild card pick? Any reason that you think that it should get the CityCast seal of approval?
Yeah, that would definitely, I'm just speaking for Adam, but I love Stick City. Every time I have a friend visit from out of town.
In Mars, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, totally. Up in Mars, Nick and his dad, Ron, and their team, like they're working so hard to keep things traditional and to donate a part of their proceeds back to the environment and to just create this like community space, but relative to their market, which is Mars. It's a little bit different of a vibe than if you're in Bloomfield, but gosh, their beer is so good.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. With Halloween just around the corner, some of us have been thinking about masks, playing a part, doing it for the bit, but pretending to be someone else should be for fun, not for our emotions. If you feel like you've been overwhelmed and you've been trying to put on a brave face, maybe therapy can help. And I've been to therapy, and it's really nice to have someone to talk to without burdening your partner or your family or friends who, let's be honest, they love you to pieces, but can be out of their depth when you're clearly struggling with something and need a better outlet for those feelings. And sometimes just getting started can be the hardest part. BetterHelp can make finding someone so much easier. All you need to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched to a licensed therapist. The care is entirely online, so it's flexible to fit your busy schedule. Take off the mask with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/CityCast today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/CityCast.
Hi, this is David Plotz of CityCast. Have you thought about a gift for yourself this year? One that has the power to help you grow and learn and become a better version of yourself? Give yourself the gift of language by getting Babbel. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by language experts, Babbel gets you talking a new language in 3 weeks, because talking is the key to really knowing a language. And that's how Babbel approaches it. It's designed for real conversation. So I have a trip to France planned with my girlfriend. Was it inspired by the Olympics? Yes, it was. And it's given me the chance to revive my old high school French. And it's so fun to catch back up with the vocabulary I'd forgotten, to remember all the food. For example, I'm in a lesson on ingredients, so I'm going to make crepes with butter and sugar. Avec sucre et de beurre salé, on va se régaler. We're going to have a feast. They learned this great new French expression too. J'en ai l'eau à la bouche. That means I have water in the mouth. That means it's mouth-watering. Love it. Love French. Anyway, Babbel gets you talking, and studies from Yale and Michigan State University and other leading universities prove that it works. So here is a special holiday deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast, spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
You know, when our team was thinking about this, we really wanted to ask where you get specific types of beer, because I know for the nerdy friends among us, like that's kind of how you choose where you want to go. Like, what's the place known for? What's always in rotation, or what's special on the menu this week or that? I want to know if there's places with 1 or 2 beers that you just really love on tap. Folks, please don't get mad at me. I am lumping a lot of beer types together to save time. Adam, are you ready?
Sure, yeah, let's give it a try.
Let's start with really hoppy beers. I know often that's an IPA. It can be ales. It can be other things. Where do you love for that?
Yeah, I go to Old Thunder for that. I get down with their hoppy stuff for sure.
Okay. What about like a hazy or juicy beer? Could also be an IPA, but could also be a sour or something else.
Yeah. I think that, when you think about that, you would just go literally 2 miles up the Allegheny to Dancing Gnome. They spearheaded that in 2016 and brought it into basically this craze. And the city has really fallen in line with loving that style. If you're into the hazy game, yeah, they have several in core rotation. And they're all good. Yeah.
Stouts, porters, brown ales, the kinds of stuff that feels cozy for fall, for winter.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I would turn to East End. I know that East End, they've been doing their thing here since 2004. Sort of I look up to them as like a grandfather figure, really, as a younger person in beer. East End has such a diverse tap list, and when they do, the Fat Gary, the Nut Brown Ale, or their black IPA, or their stouts, or their porters, they do a lot of darker stuff, and they nail it for sure.
Yeah, and they're available all over the region. They do a really, really good job of distribution. So I know it's not your thing necessarily, but what about seasonals? Are there places around Western Pennsylvania that you would recommend someone go if that's their thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I suppose I'd have to shout out something like Southern Tier. I think that, they're downtown in the North Shore kind of stadium area. They're in an interesting place with how they operate, because they're a little bit bigger than craft, but they're not like Budweiser. They're sort of in their own little middle tier of breweries.
Do we have middle market breweries? Is that a thing yet?
I've been reading about it. It's sort of emerging, as beer sort of morphs and as the younger folks become 21, whether they choose to drink or not. We're seeing a lot of changes in the market, but Southern Tier is part of a brewery group that is basically, yeah, like what you said, that middle tier. And they do the seasonals pretty well. And they, they have the capability to bring some stuff in from New York as well as brewing on site in Pittsburgh. So if you're looking for that.
And their brewery in New York is within driving distance to Pittsburgh too, like 2.5 hours north of here in Lakewood. It's really, really gorgeous. When I went, there was a band and someone giving tours, a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
What about wheat beers like Hefeweizens?
If you are willing to drive 2 hours west of Pittsburgh to Akron, Ohio, I would for sure shout out like Missing Mountain. They're in Cuyahoga Falls, and they're kind of like punching above their weight, doing probably the best beer in Akron, Ohio right now. Aeonian in Alliance, Ohio is another one that's doing some really cool stuff in stuff like that with wheats and wits and Hefeweizens and stuff that you don't see every day. It's, I know it's a little bit of a drive, but both of those, along with Noble Beast in Cleveland, Ohio, would be for sure like stop in and try what they've got and get down with the wheat stuff.
No, I'm glad that we asked an Ohio native for this. We're getting some good off-kilter recommendations for a Pittsburgher. What about ales, kolsches, pale lagers, that kind of like lighter on, an easier day?
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely answer that because this is kind of getting into what I like to drink. First off, I'll shout out 11th Hour because they're right in Lawrenceville, right in the city. And they've done a really, really nice job of dialing in their Kolsch, their lager program. And then the far out pick, and this is my favorite, would be, you have to kind of go in the middle of nowhere, but it's called Woolly Pig in Fresno, Ohio. The nearest city is probably Coshocton. It's about an hour south of Canton, where I'm from. Woolly Pig is a brewery on a farm. It's actually called Woolly Pig Farm Brewery, where there are pigs everywhere, and the pigs are eating the spent grain from the brew house. It's all upcycled. They have a food truck, but they're focusing a lot on, like what you said, traditional lagers and ales. And it's a destination for sure if you want to go visit the middle of nowhere, Ohio.
Yeah. And what about like the classic pills? I feel like if there's anything that's like the most Pittsburgh, more often than not, it's going to be a lager or pilsner.
Yeah, you're right. Gosh, I feel like, when you say that out loud, where my mind goes is like Penn Brewery. You think about a brewery that's been around for a long, long time and, just like doing what they do on their funky, they have a copper hectoliter system. It's a totally different brew house than any other brew house in Pittsburgh. I think also East End is now doing a year-round Pilsner called Everyday Pilsner. And I think they found that groove with like talking to folks and getting feedback and seeing what pairs well with food and what's going to move over the bar. But I also would say us. Trace has done a few Pilsners, and there's a regular we have, and he's from Czech Republic, and he tried it and he was like, you nailed it. Like, this actually tastes like home. Czech Pilsner is a style that the Czech folks are really into. It's from their homeland. And Marek came in, tried our Pilsner, and told our brewer, Zach, like, you did it. Like, I want this every day. And I was like, wow, we actually got this seal of approval.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, any suggestions then for folks who are maybe just newer to the beer scene? They are excited about what you just said and they want to learn more, but they also don't want to get too overwhelmed by the options. What's your best pro tip?
I would say, honestly, in the city, I love the staff at Two Phrase. They're in Garfield on Penn Avenue. And, the ladies in the front of house there, they come to Trace a lot too. We love them. I would say what's cool about that is you're never going to be overwhelmed or be talked down to or feel out of place. I think that, it's super important to keep things approachable and friendly. And I would recommend going in there, having a beer, talk to their team, and you're in like really, really good hands because they'll probably suggest some other spots you could stop at as well.
You can find Adam behind the bar and behind the scenes at Trace Brewing here in Pittsburgh. Thank you so much for your expert guidance and picks today.
Hell yeah, you got it.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you're liking the show, please tell someone, rate us, leave us a nice review, and make sure you're subscribed to that Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon. Are you a pumpkin beer person?
Sadly, no. I hate to burst the pumpkin bubble. I
hate them. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, they suck.